Leader who builds cultures, redesigns organizations, led M&A, HR, due diligence, Mr. Rakesh Kumar Sharma.
I was leading a team of multiple line functional managers and the executives, wherein I could feel that there was a critical challenge of managing the talent retention.
You have helped organizations become IPO ready, and you have worked with industries from diagnostics to pharma, FMCG, and e-commerce.
Understanding the business cultures of both the organization, establishing the harmonized cultural environment, and then of course there are a lot of data analytics goes into a detail for planning the workforce.
Hey everyone, welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and today I want to buckle up. You know why? Because we are stepping into the core of every business transformation, every organizational victory, and every cultural revolution, the world of human resources. Not the HR you think you know, but no paperwork, interviews, or onboarding slides. I'm talking about the HR that shapes destinies, the HR that builds leaders, the HR that drives global mergers, digital revolution, cultural shifts, IPO preparations, and workforce evolution, and whatnot. And our guest today, he doesn't just work in that world, he literally architects it. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest is a dynamic, agile, and globally seasoned HR visionary with over 24 years of transforming organizations across USA, South Africa, UAE, APAC, and India. A man who has shaped HR strategy across pharmaceuticals, diagnostics, FMCG, e-commerce, retail, manufacturing, healthcare, and more. A leader who builds cultures, redesigns organizations, led M&A, HR, due diligence, built IPO readiness frameworks, managed plant unions, digitalized HR functions, and helped companies become great places to work. He is the founder and CHRO of OLYX Global HR, former group head HR at Newberg Diagnostics across 4 countries, a strategist, a builder, a teacher, and above all, a believer in people power as the backbone of business. Mr. Rakesh Kumar Sharma, what an honor to have you on FaceTime with Leaders. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sani, inviting me on this platform of FaceTime with Leaders. I really thank to the entire FaceTime Leaders team to invite me for this wonderful interaction. So sincerely feel honored and grateful to the Directors Institute inviting me for sharing my thoughts and views on this platform.
Great. Mr. Sharma, I always say behind every transformative leader, there is a moment, a spark. Not a title, not a job, a moment. So let's go back in time. You have worked across industries, continents, and cultures. But where did this journey truly begin for you? I mean, what was that spark that pulled you into the world of HR, leadership, and people transformation?
Well, Sunny, this is extremely interesting question to me. I believe that beginning of my career as a business manager on the ground, on the field, I was leading a team of multiple line functional managers and the executives, wherein I could feel that there was a critical challenge of managing the talent retention, talent acquisition process, recruitment and selection process, which were undefined. And I could see there were a lot of, non-visibility of HR. Largely, it was presented to the corporates. So I could see there is a process gap. I could see there is an intervention needed from the front to drive this workforce. So from where I came up with the idea of, talent spotting from the ground, identifying the right set of a top industry talent, bringing them into the hiring process, which is being led by the company's processes and systems. And then lately, this entire initiative of driving the workforce, bringing the top talent in the organization and maximizing my existing revenue business, it has given me a lot of confidence to drive my business successfully. Lately, this initiative was spotted by the organization as the best HR practice in the field. This was the initial kickstart of my journey when started my career into the business and then moved into the HR. So this was spotted, recognized by the organization, and I became the first HR manager in the history of Ranbaxy, which is a global organization at that time in 2010. And I got the spot in the boardroom as a national HR leader. So I reflect back and see that this was something, a transition of my career from business to HR, understanding the core challenges from the boardroom perspective and the leadership understanding and driving the workforce alignment. So that's how my journey initiated, and I'm today where I'm standing here. I reflect back and see these innovative ideas, roller coaster challenges, and interfacing with the solution-centric approach has brought me to this leadership profiles or the positions.
Mr. Sharma, that felt less like an answer and more like a window into your early world. The way you trace that moment back to your entire leadership philosophy, that was powerful.
Thank you.
All right. So, continuing our conversation, let's go under the hood of your world now, because a lot of people still see HR as transactional, whereas your career is all about strategic HR.
Yeah.
And you have advised boards and promoters on M&A. You have helped organizations become IPO ready. And you have worked with industries from diagnostics to pharma, FMCG, and e-commerce. So, when you walk into a complex mandate, say a merger, a large-scale restructuring, or preparing a company for IPO, where do you start from an HR lens?
So, well, Sunny, this is a quite relevant question in today's context of Indian business dynamics, or even in the global, the footprints. We see a lot of mergers and acquisitions keeps happening across. Okay, as an HR, we have a critical responsibility to drive these mega mergers or acquisition process smoothly. This transition to become organization more successful with the large scale entity, and subsequently minimizing the risk and disseminating the disruptions. So I believe as an HR leader, it is critical for playing a vital role right from the strategy of pre-merger to the post-merger initiatives. Here lies a critical, the interventions from the HR policy interventions, understanding the business cultures of both the organization, establishing the harmonized cultural environment, and then of course there are a lot of data analytics goes into a detail for planning the workforce planning and subsequently creating a large organization structures. So apparently what I have observed as an HR leader, this is extremely critical for the HR leaders to understand the entire ecosystem and dynamics and follow the process wherein they could be able to define the merger and acquisition smoothly. I would say during my journey, multiple merger and acquisition processes I could lead from the front. To all the HR leaders, I would like to say that this is not only a difficult process or a critical challenge, but it is an opportunity for HR leaders to define a clear crystal roadmap with the clear communication strategies. Those can lead to the organization success for the larger business outcomes. The mergers have a typical challenges of the cultural avenues from where the companies comes in, and subsequently there are a lot of digital data interface. Now the world has moved from the AI to the chatbot features. Now everything is available on a database. So financials of the existing organizations, HR policies and processes, compliance risks, which are deployed during the merger and acquisitions, plays a vital role for the business leaders. So as a HR folk or a leader, I personally believe the new organization or the merged entity, a larger scale organization, require a lot of post-merger interventions, which includes the the communication strategies, the transparent and open discussion, retaining the top talent, establishing the skill gap matrix, and then, of course, defining and designing a roadmap for 3 years or 5 years down the line for successful organization to achieve the higher profitable revenues. And in the last, I would like to mention here is, which is very, very critical, is the brand positioning of the organization while they are putting into the place for the larger scale or a larger landscape of the organizations.
Absolutely, Mr. Sharma. And that breakdown felt like a masterclass without sounding like one. So real. And you took us right into the tension of those high stakes moments, and that was brilliantly put. Great. So, continuing the conversation, you have led multiple HR digitalization projects from HRMS implementations, PMS automation, to taking organizations from paper-based to fully digital HR in months, not years. So, what has been your biggest lesson from leading these HR digital transformations? And how do you convince people that technology is there to empower them, not to replace them?
Yeah, so you will agree with me nowadays, the biggest challenge for the large scale organization is the data integration and ensuring that HR policies, processes, and systems are unified and having the unique proposition of driving those business models. So, as a HR leader, digital transformation initiatives are unique, plays a vital role for the success of the organization. And most importantly, it is simplifying the operational processes of the large scale organizations. I had the privilege of deploying these HRMS systems for multinational organizations as well as with the promoter driven Indian organizations. I could see that landscape was quite challenging. You have a manufacturing organizations at one side, multiple plant facilities, multiple units operation. You have a corporate organization, and then you have the large corporate business organization which has spread to the marketing fields or sales employees. In that context, when you are having a large gamut of 10,000 plus employees, 15,000 plus employees, and operating with the ecosystem of paper files and the conventional methodology, it becomes very, very erratic and difficult for organization to take the large decisions or critical crucial decisions pertaining to the human resources. Hence this requires the clear interventions of the digital HR MS processes, which provides one single platform or a window not only to the employee or the employer, but also the entire gamut of employees, that what is there for them in terms of the HR processes. So with these digital HR interventions, driving the AI and chatbot features to, on a click of the button, the database is available for everybody's ready reference. Openness, ensuring that, the data security and privacy is being kept, in control. And most importantly, for the business leaders, managing directors of the organization, have a ready handful data, which is enabled through Power BI as a HR dashboard, which influences them to take the right decision or a critical decisions at the time of merger and acquisition process, or taking the large employee related initiatives. So digital HR transformation, pre-COVID or post-COVID, I have the privilege to introduce such large platforms for the transforming the entire organization into one gateway platform. And now these HRMS solutions are providing a lot of landscape opportunity for HR processes, right from payroll processing, compensation, benefits, learning and development related initiatives, and most importantly, which has been seen, that the HR analytics and dashboards are available for employee engagements and the ready reference for the critical decision making. So this journey has been fantastic, and I had introduced and very visibly impacted to the HRMS solutions like Workdays, People Strong, InfoTrack, Adrenaline Max, and so many. So that gives the opportunity to impact on the employee's life.
Incredible, Mr. Sharma. That is incredible. And you showed us the human side of digital transformation. The way you described that shift from fear to trust, that's exactly what people never talk about.
Yes.
Great. So moving ahead, Mr. Sharma, one thing that really stands out in your journey is how consistently you have handled compliance, legal matters, unions, audits, and statutory frameworks across plants, labs, and international operations. Now, in an environment where a single oversight can have huge consequences, what's your secret? I mean, how do you build a culture of precision and accountability without making the workplace feel like a police state?
Well said, Sunny. You will agree with me. Large corporates, multinational organizations, or listed organizations are having a higher visibility towards the global community, to the environment, and to sustain their businesses for long term. It is imperative that they should apply the fundamental processes of compliances. uh, Governments across India or international or the global organizations are having a restrictions of operating their businesses within the framework of legislations or the rules deployed by various authorities. So here lies a catch for most organizations to be legally compliant. Hence, HR has to be spot on in terms of managing the labor compliances, ensuring the rules and regulations and acts are typically followed. Hence, therefore, there is a governance comes into a picture, whether it is environment safety, employee safety, the manufacturing sites are compliant with the environment greenhouse ecosystem. And predominantly, it has been observed that one single lack in the process of non-following or the non-conformity of any compliance, it leads to a huge penalty and serious deterrence to the organization brand visibility as well. As an organization, all the listed organization or global organizations are supposed to follow the standard protocols or processes. Hence, HR has a critical role. I believe that whatever actionables we do, the code of conduct what we follow, or the behaviors what we reflect in the business operation, that has to be a very very systematic in the approach that iota of a lapse will lead to a larger consequence for the greater organization. So as a HR leader, I believe that that every employee, right from the executive to the board of directors of the company, they have a huge responsibility towards the organization ethos, values, and that ensuring that environment is sustainable for the long-term businesses. Hence, the large corporates do not have the responsibility to drive their business sustainability, but they should also have, and they have a responsibility to ensure the social governance and then rules established by various countries or various geographies are deployed successfully. So as an HR, I believe that this is always an opportunity to sensitize, communicate transparently, and having an open house conversation and tightening our processes and systems to have a very, very minimal chances of leakages. So that's how I believe making people comfortable so that board or the leadership or a management is comfortable in terms of operating of their businesses.
Great, 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 Mr. Sharma. And I really appreciate how you frame discipline as care for people and the business, not a set of rules to be enforced.
Yes.
Amazing. All right, so let's move on to the next segment, which is called the rapid fire round. So short questions, instant answers. Are you up for it?
Yeah, of course. I'm ready to getting bombarded with the multiple set of questions from your end, please.
Exactly. Let me and our audiences know the human behind the HR expert.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the first question. What's the first thing you do when you wake up?
So Sunny, I pray to the God while wake up and pray to everybody's happiness.
Perfect start. Your comfort food after a long, intense work day.
I love to have a vegetarian food and prefer to have homemade food, which is, worthy to have a taste. So I love to have that kind of a food all the day.
All right. One hobby that instantly relaxes you.
Typically, music plays a critical role. So I love to listen music.
Okay. A movie you have watched way too many times but still enjoy.
As an HR leader, we didn't get that much of a time to, relax ourselves in that sense. But yes, a movie Sholay, which is a historic movie in Indian cinema. I really love to have fun and the enjoyment of that movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that reminds me of that dialogue, Kitne aadmi the?
So or maybe a Gabbar, the way it has been reflected and how two people can actually change the entire paradigm shift of the, so that actually excites me to actually watch this movie time and again.
Okay, all right. Great. Moving on. The one app you absolutely can't live without.
In today's world, I would say LinkedIn is one which fascinates to me a lot, exchanging and sharing your views and ideas. So LinkedIn is one platform which I believe that is one thing which I love to work on.
Okay. Your favorite place to travel to in India or abroad?
So I love to visit to Switzerland or Dubai. These are the two places wherein I prefer to.
Okay. A song that never fails to lift your mood.
So there are various, but yes, one which I reflect upon is, I would say, a song which is predominantly close to my Aane Wala Pal, Jaane Wala Hai. So
Wow, what a
this
choice.
song always reflect me that, time is precious and we should also rely upon and enjoy every facet of the moment.
Absolutely. Great choice. Your all-time favorite sports person or team?
So we live in the cricket origin country. So Sachin Tendulkar, as everybody's favorite. I love to admire his personality and the contribution towards the sport. And Indian cricket team is what I follow them very rigorously.
Greatest of the great, right. One thing still left on your bucket list that you definitely want to tick off.
Sunny, I believe with the virtue of the God and the blessings of my parents, I achieved a lot. But still, I believe that I would be the board as advisor for the large corporates, wherein I could, provide the technical advisory or a guidance what I've acquired as a knowledge or a skill from the business scenarios. So I wish to be the board of directors in the large corporates. That's how my one wish list, which I want to take.
All right. Wish you all the luck. And the last question of the rapid fire round. If your life had a title, what would it be?
I would say challenger. I believe put myself into a challenges I wanted to overcome with the relatable solutions, and that those are always giving me the excitement or the energy to fight back. So challenger I would like to give.
Amazing. And let me tell you, Mr. Sharma, that was sharp and spontaneous, and I loved every answer of yours.
So
Thank you.
nice of you. Thank you. It was really amazing to have this rapid fire immediately. And
Exactly.
thank you.
All right. So, okay, moving on to the next segment of questions and talking about the bigger picture. Mr. Sharma, every industry has its wake-up calls,
Right.
moments that force everyone to pause and ask,
Yeah.
where did we go wrong? Right? So, banking, healthcare, pharma, tech, we have all seen scandals, frauds, governance failures that shook public trust. So, when you look at those episodes, what do you think is the biggest lesson for today's leaders? And what have these moments personally taught you about ethics, transparency, and doing the right thing even no one is watching?
So I personally feel, Sani, this question is extremely important in the today's scenario, wherein the technology interface in each processes has widened and deepened the overall processes. What I believe as a HR leader, that when I had the opportunity working with the healthcare industry, which is predominantly regulated with the various authorities, and iota of the gaps will have a significant impact in the business operations. So in that context, I always believe, and I have the opportunity to scale up those interventions with the help of managing directors and the board members to drive them, that how the organizations can further deeper their impact on that. So largely, I see still, the R&D related gaps, the quality issues, time efficiencies, and I could see that the various efforts goes into a drain with the lapses on the regulations control. So as in HR, establishing the specific SOPs, those are standard operating procedures, defining and designing the roadmap for the organization to boils down all these errors should be minimized at max. So I feel, these are the areas wherein HR leaders' interventions are critical. Coaching, guiding, mentoring with the workforce or the entire ecosystem of the organization, and subsequently managing your mid to a senior leadership in terms of giving them that the ideology that all actionables are visible at this particular juncture due to the digital impacts as well as the automation of the processes. Lastly, I believe as an HR, the values of any organizations are important. Belief systems are critical and important. So I work on a fundamental called trick. This trick says trust, respect, integrity, and courage. So these four fundamental pillars actually gives empowerment to the employees, while to raise the red flag, to showcase that anomalies are there, or those can be immediately fix up. So I believe as a business leader or as a HR leader that we have a critical cap as a governance and a compliance to ensure that organization business interests and risk minimized efforts can be taken into a context. So those are the efforts which I believe, largely organization run with the process of triple P, which is profit, profit, profit. I say that no, with the notion of the actionables, we should have profit, people, and then planet, because that society or the environment where we operate, we have an equal responsibility to drive our businesses around. So that's how I wrap up in the context of managing the legislation and the governance around it. And most importantly, that we must abide with the processes and systems which are compliant. Hence, HRMS processes are linked with the automation of the compliance, which enables labor laws, labor rules, statutory compliances, enforcement of all such processes in the very, very closed compound manner for the interface of the business leaders. So that's how I believe these strategies helps transforming organization for the large landscape opportunities.
Rightly said, Sharma, Mr. Sharma, and TRIC, right? Trick is trick.
Trick, which is basically trust, respect, and integrity, which I personally feel are the four fundamental pillars, and giving the very, very closed fundamentals to drive the organization's value system in the DNA of the business operations.
Absolutely. And that also translates into transparency, resilience, integrity, and courage.
Yes, yes.
Great. Great. Amazing. All right. So that brings us to the last segment of the podcast. And let me ask you the last question. And you have recently been associated with Directors Institute. So what drew you to join the Institute in the first place? And now that you have been a part of it, how has that experience shaped the way you look at leadership, governance, and decision making at the board level?
Yeah, so this is quite exciting to be part of Directors Institute, World Council of Directors, to learn and understand the implications and the critical role dynamics of independent directors or the board of directors. I personally feel this is the opportunity for the entrepreneurs or the business leaders to understand the landscape, dynamics, challenges, and critical nuances. So Directors Institute provides opportunity for the young business leaders to think through differently, to drive business operations successfully. They not only sensitize from the operations of business dynamics, but also to provide the ideologies and perspectives. Those are within the regulated frame. So we have, the environment safety, environment social governance. We have, governance related lot of issues, wherein those risks can be minimized with the candid learning platform what Director Institutes provides to the various young age directors. Moreover, the data analytics, reporting of governance, and then raising the red flag to showcase that large business organizations are leaving a footprint which may be detrimental for upcoming the generations. Hence we have an equal responsibility to drive and utilize our resources which are naturally available all across, so that forthcoming generation will have a luxury of utilizing of those natural resources successfully. And more importantly, profit, people, and planet. These are the three fundamentals of business operations for business leaders and minimizing the business risk. Reason being is that smaller, the challenges turn into a bomb later. And then there is a challenge for the business executives or CEOs of the organization to run the profitability and sustainability of the businesses. Hence, I feel Directors Institute is a great platform for the young leaders to look at their large dreams to be achieved successfully. Thank you.
Mr. Sharma, that was such an honest look into why you stepped into the institute, and that was really very refreshing.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really, amazing having a conversation with you, walking me through my memory lanes. And I would say, Sunny, you, tickle me my brain from left, right, and corner, and try to, taking out a maximum as much I could. So it was really amazing conversation with you.
Absolutely, Mr. Sharma. And let me tell you, this has been an inspiring and deeply insightful conversation too. What stood out to me most today is how you have shown that HR is not just about hiring or policies. It's about strategy, it's about trust, discipline, and above all, it's about people,
Yes.
right? And from M&A and IPO readiness to digital HR transformation, from plant unions to global leadership, your journey shows that when HR sit at the strategy table, businesses don't just grow, they evolve responsibly. And the way
Absolutely.
you spoke about ethics and governance, that was a real reminder that in leadership, integrity is the ultimate currency. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences, your lessons, your reflections with us today. And it's been an absolute pleasure having you here on FaceTime with Leaders. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sparing a wonderful time with me, Sani. It was really a pleasure having a word with you, learning from your insights, and giving me this opportunity to come on this platform of Directors Institute, World Council of Directors, providing me this opportunity to showcase and sharing my views and thoughts based on my experiences and knowledge. So I'm really thankful to the institution inviting me on this platform. Thank you once again, and having a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharma. And to everyone listening, I hope today's episode gave you not just insights into HR and leadership, but also a sense of perspective that real success isn't about speed, it's about purpose, people, and principles. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi. And until next time, stay curious, keep learning, and as I always say, lead with integrity. Thank you so much. Have a nice time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you so much.